everybody! Welcome to reWATCH, the show where I talk about some of my favorite movies. Ghostbusters came out in 1984 and was directed by Ivan Reitman. It stars Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis. Growing up, Ghostbusters was one of the movies that I rewatched quite a bit.
I don't even remember the first time I watched Ghostbusters, but I used to watch it and rewatch it off of Comedy Central. I remember it being on there all the time.
Yeah.
And I watched it all the time.
I think the first time I watched it was at my grandpa's house, which is where I watched a lot of movies. I found it to be really funny, but it was also, I started watching it at a young enough age where some of the effects and stuff were still kind of scary. Like, even the big demon dog gargoyle things were kind of scary, but now when you watch it, it's definitely the biggest, like, eyesore.
Most of the lines in the movie were actually ad-libbed, which is really great. I love that.
You mentioned that to me before I rewatched it, and when I was watching it, you can definitely tell, I feel like, in a lot of Bill Murray's lines, that seem like they're on the fly, because if you, like, just when he says certain things, if you watch, like, other actors' faces, they kind of, like, are, like, trying to, you know, just, but I mean, they were all, I mean, you know,
they're all funny people.
They're all funny people. They worked Saturday Night Live. They did improv comedy, so I mean, it makes sense that they did a lot of improv stuff within the film.
Harold Ramis actually started out just writing it, and then they were trying to look for someone to play his role, and they were like, no one actually fit, and so he was like, oh, I know everything about it, so I'll do it.
Yeah. I think Egon's actually like one of my favorite, like, I don't know, they're all really good characters, but
he's like
Egon,
a Donatello.
Egon he's so funny because he's like the only one that's like straight like scientist, like he's always working on something.
Yeah.
Where everybody else kind of slacks off, or at least has like a conversation that is outside of their work. But all of Egon's conversations are all like in his work and what he's doing. And their secretary, there's like a romantic thing happening between the characters, but just on her end, like she's always like hitting on him. And at the end, when there's like the big like finale, and Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver are having their kiss, like she like goes up to him and she like grabs him and she's talking to him for a minute, and it's like for a second you think she's gonna kiss him, and he just turns and starts to walk away, and it's like little subtle things like that in the movie that I just never really picked up on that are really funny. So the movie opens up in a library where you have a librarian going down to like the basement level and then stumbling across a there's a ghost librarian, but you don't see it in the opening shot. She walks down, she gets scared, and then you get the big Ghostbusters emblem and the big title drop in, and the theme song kicks up.
If there's something strange in the neighborhood, who you gonna call?
And right off the bat, you're just like, this is already a fun movie. Bill Murray's character is the first of the team that you get introduced to, and he's a professor with a couple of students doing mind-reading tests. He's seeing if negative influence impacts telepathy. He holds up a card, and the kid gets it right, and he still tells him he gets it wrong, and then shocks him, and the dude ends up walking out and leaving. But at that point is when his experiment was actually going in some kind of direction that he could have, claimed. But at this point he's too busy just hitting on the attractive student.
And that's his whole character.
That's his whole character. He doesn't care. But that's why they end up getting fired from the school.
Right.
Is because they're not bringing in any money. They're just wasting a ton of money, so they get kicked out. But they go to this library. They check it out. They find the ghost, and and that starts off. It's the first ghost they've ever actually seen. So they put all their money into getting the Ghostbusters building, getting that started. They get their first client, which is Sigourney Weaver's character. She has seen another dimension within her refrigerator.
Yeah, she heard a growl from the refrigerator and went to it, and what did it say?
Zool.
Zool, yeah.
And you get to see their first actual ghost bust, which is Slimer. They have nuclear reactors on their back.
Yeah.
They're all dying of cancer.
What? How did you get a hold of that? And two, like,
they're scientists. It's just accepted. They just give that to scientists.
There you go. Honestly, like, what grounds it the most for me, like, is Bill Murray's character. Like, he puts it all into like literal terms, you know what I mean? So then everybody's able to understand it.
Right, and I think it's funny too because he's a doctor. He's a doctor of psychology.
Yeah.
So like when everybody else is going on the whole science kick, like he doesn't understand what they're talking about. So he has to be the character that's like, put this in, like layman terms, so that way I can understand, but it's really for the audience so that they can get it too. And so that all the science that they're making up for the movie, they can just make a legitimate thing for it.
Right.
I mean,
oh yeah, science. Yeah. That's how you do it.
So from there, business is booming. They're getting a lot of calls. They got their whole news ad or like their advertisement on TV going on. They're getting a bunch of calls. People are really believing in this stuff, and they're getting so busy they got to hire a new Ghostbuster.
Yep.
Which is Winston, and he's just like a dude looking for a job and doesn't care at all.
Yeah,
he's just like, sure, I'll just strap this nuclear pack on me and whatever. I mean, as long as you
that
guys are
sounds
paying
safe,
me, right?
I'll do it.
It's fine.
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
The bad guy character's introduced. He's worried about, well, he's just he's a lawyer, so he's the bad guy character, but he's there because he's from the Environmental Protection Agency, and he wants to know what's going on there to see if they're hurting the environment. Which, in all honesty, is not like, I mean, he is a kind of a douche, but in all honesty, I mean, they have nuclear packs that they're
doing
wearing.
what he should be doing. Yeah,
they got nuclear packs. They've got like some, crazy science magic chamber where they hold all of their ghosts.
Yeah,
and,
for a completely sane person to see this shit happening is like, why do you have this on your back, bro? Like, just trying to give cancer to everybody? Like, what are you doing? So
I mean, his reasoning for being there, totally legit. Him coming back with a warrant, totally understandable.
Lewis is Vince.
Yeah, he's the keymaster. Dana is Zool, and they have to be together in order to open up the portal, basically to let out Gozer. So that bigger picture's opening up. As far as all of the special effects within the film, they're all done really well, especially for the time, but they really hold up to today's standards, except for the dogs. Because the way that they move and they run around is actually like claymation.
Yeah,
and every scene when they're not moving, it's practical effects, which looks really good, except for the fact that they're laying down every time, and it's a little bit annoying. Yeah. Like they just they'll leap through and bust through a wall, and then like land or something, and then it'll show a clip of it'll cut to somebody's reaction, and then cut back to the creature, and the creature's just laying on the ground every single time. It's just laying there, like not very intimidating, like I'll come get you in a second.
Right.
So
I gotta relax. I just busted through this shit. Like, give me a minute.
Right. All of the ghosts look awesome.
Dude, Slimer, during the first time you see Slimer, that was great.
The Ghostbusters are being now taken to jail. The lawyer gets a warrant. They just let them shut it off, though, and it's could possibly be a nuclear reaction. They don't really know what's going to happen, but they expect it to blow up.
Another serious moment in this movie, and it's
just kind of...
It's fine.
Yeah,
Stop
it's just kind of written off.
They'll
just run out, and, ghosts just start flying out of the place, and the whole building kind of explodes out the top. And the sequence with the mayor is really funny.
It's great.
Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
And then he's like, all right, you can have all the money in the world from New York.
Yeah, basically...
Whatever New York has, you can take it.
They talk their way out of some trouble.
Possible terrorists, they're just like...
Yeah.
All right.
Full of just ghosts and shit just running amok.
Yeah. I mean,
but in all honesty, it was the lawyer's fault. But he.
Damn EPA.
But he had all right to be there. But it was his fault that they just shut it down. He should have had people in there who knew, bring some other scientists in to figure out what they were doing and just take them for their word that if you shut this down, it could explode.
Yeah.
That could destroy the city, I believe, were their actual terms. That's a big one where you go, well. Maybe you shouldn't have this, but let's get some people in here who could help us shut this thing down properly.
If we need to, we should probably get a team in here that can shut this down if it needs to be shut down. Instead of, well, whatever.
Nope, he just had a vendetta against Bill Murray's character. He had the big showdown with the Ghostbusters and Gozer.
Don't think of anything. And they're just standing there okay, we're not thinking. Who was thinking? What happened?
Who was thinking? And Dan Aykroyd is it was just something from my childhood. Something that I thought could never harm me.
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
The greatest villain ever. You know
Oh, it's
what I mean?
perfect. It's
Marshmallow
super
Man.
perfect. You got to just have this giant Marshmallow Man just walking through the city, just destroying stuff, and he's just got like this happy face. Just
It's happy, but it's like creepy
it's happy
as hell.
and
You know
super
what I mean?
creepy at the same
so
time. It's just like
creepy.
too plastic and like just perfect
It's like,
smile.
So,
And they use their proton packs on him.
nuclear warheads.
They use it on him though, and it just like sets him on fire. So they have this flaming marshmallow climbing the building. They decide to do the one thing that they were not supposed to do, and that's cross the streams.
You never cross streams.
Never cross streams unless you should cross streams.
Unless you gotta kill a Marshmallow Man.
We'll cross the streams.
Excuse me, Egon. You said crossing the streams was bad.
They cross streams on Gozer's portal. The whole top of the building explodes. The Marshmallow Man explodes. Everything's on fire. And all this goop just goes flying and covers the whole city in marshmallow. And in my mind, watching it now, maybe just because I'm too skeptic, that marshmallow goop had to have been really hot.
And
Like
actually,
to liquefy?
it would be like, think about s'mores.
Right, that's what I'm saying. When you bite into a s'more and it's hot and it's
That's some hot marshmallow.
right. The lawyer gets absolutely covered in it. Just a
You
big
know what?
gloop. He'd have been dead. Like,
Yeah, and actually, it was actually shaving cream.
oh, it was totally shaving cream.
It was
You can
shaving
definitely
cream,
tell.
but it was, I can't remember how much it was, but it was enough to almost knock him down. Like, it
Yeah.
was so much shaving cream that they threw at him.
As much as I love Bill Murray, he's also an actor that I also have read numerous times that he's difficult to work with. And in that scene, everybody is
I'd
covered
allow
in
it,
it
you know?
except for him.
Dude, like, I didn't even think about that.
He's got a little bit like on his head and like on his shoulder, but everybody's covered in it. Like, you know they were covering him with it, and he was like, no.
I don't think so. Not
But
me.
also, he had to be the guy that got the girl in the end, got the big romantic kiss, had to pull her out of the stone because she was like encased in one of those gargoyles. Had to like actually like lift her up out of it. So maybe they didn't cover him in it just to have that actual moment. Like,
Right.
that could be it too. Big finale. I love 80s movies, like when there's a big event that happens and like you get these heroes to take control of it and like beat this bad guy. Because
Right.
you always have just huge crowds of people just just applauding and just like woohoo, like hooray. Like now in movies when when Captain
Avengers.
America, like when the Avengers like take that beat Loki,
Yeah.
in the Avengers movie, you don't have the whole New York just thanking them and clapping like crazy. They're all like, look at all this destruction, look at all this stuff you
Thanks,
did."
assholes! Final thoughts? I honestly, still to this day, it's still a great, wonderful movie. I would recommend it to anybody that hasn't seen it, because that's insane. I could watch this all the time and be definitely okay with it. It's a beautifully grounded film. Like, with all of the crazy, out of this world stuff that happens in the movie, it's still very grounded.
Ghostbusters gets a 5 out of 5. It's a great adventure comedy that I feel like the whole family can enjoy, and it still holds up to today.
I give Ghostbusters a 5 out of 5. It's a great movie, great family movie, everything. Great movie. Watch it again and again.
All right.
Great.
All right, guys. See you next time on Rad Entertainment.
And the ending, it wasn't too rushed. It kept you intrigued the whole time.
Dude, this yells America, fuck yeah.
Yeah.